Thank you, Jared. Was a little bit nervous about who was going to be introducing me today. You know, I was hoping it was Chris. You know, I wouldn't have to adjust this mic. He's right about mouth level, but I appreciate the intro, Jared. In preparing for this moment, I must have been told 500 times. You know, I asked around. I said, you know, what do I got to do? You know, now I'm sitting up here, I've been thinking about it the last 2 days. What do I got to do? What do I got to say in the opening press conference? And I kept getting the same advice from everybody, especially Jared and Chris. They said, you have to go watch Coach Helton's introductory press conference. Must have heard it 50 times in the last 2 days. So I did watch it, and he left some really, really big shoes to fill. He came in here with a lot of pop, but I'll just have you know, I'm a pretty big competitor, so Coach Helton, I'm getting after your ass. Eagle Nation, it feels good to be home. It's these past few days, and even upon just being named the head coach here, I've felt so much love, a welcoming spirit. I am so proud to be standing in front of you today as your head men's basketball coach. It's really a dream come true for me. You know, Jared touched on my background, but that's what it is. You know, I'm still in my mind, you know, the 5 or 6 year old kid that was getting done with Catholic school at St. Mary's of Wayne, walking up the road to watch my dad team's practice. Many hours were spent in that gym, watching him don the sidelines as I shot on the empty side gym. It really is a dream come true, but for me, it's, you know, I really feel like my life's been a dream come true to this point. You know, the moves that I've been fortunate to make, the people I've interacted with, all the opportunities I've been afforded, is really just living a dream. I don't feel like I've worked an honest day in my life because coaching basketball is so much more to me than just work. So, in that respect, I just want to talk about why Georgia Southern, And for me, it was just so clear. You know, I'll talk basketball terms a lot. You know, when you talk basketball chemistry, sometimes it's hard to put into words, but it's easy to see when you spot it. And the chemistry here is just second to none. The alignment we have, with our administration really just stood out throughout this process. And it starts with Dr. Marrero. Dr. Marrero's sincere and authentic leadership. Jared compared him as a transformative leader, which I agree 100%. It was on display immediately during this process. And it really moved me. I'm honored to work for Dr. Marrero, and I'm going to work really hard to make him proud. Our athletic director, Jared Banco. His poise and his confidence, it kind of takes over the room when you're in there with him. And I know a lot of you guys in here know what I'm talking about. He has a belief in himself, his vision, and the people he has in place at Georgia Southern. And it really, really won me over. It didn't take me long to just identify with him and see this as a place I wanted to be. I can also see why he's raised so much money, because he sold me quick. So he's a big-time leader, and I'm just incredibly humbled and honored, that he thought highly enough of me to put me in charge of his men's basketball program. Our Chief Operating Officer, Chris Davis, he's shown me in a short time that good things can come from Auburn. His expertise and his wisdom, it's been invaluable to me during the transition, as evidenced by many late-night phone calls. My wife's up there and she's trying to calm my son down. He struggles with loud noises, so you guys have been awesome, but you overwhelmed him a little bit. But there was many nights where I got home on the phone with Chris, and Tish obviously had been gone all day and was home a little later than I was normally home, and she said, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, I'm talking to Chris. And she said, "Again?" So I've learned very quickly what a resource he is for me. I've leaned on him, and I'm gonna, say apologies to Coach Helton again. One of the things I really appreciate about Chris is that his heart, he's a basketball guy. Next, I want to thank our Senior Associate Athletic Director, Reggie Simpkins. Again, I'm going to go back to basketball terms, but being in a room, all right, with Jared, Chris, Reggie, Leonard, Reggie may not have the highest usage rate in the room. Obviously, Jared and Chris are trading a lot of barbs and holding court, but Reggie plays his role to a T. All right, I really believe he is a star in his role, and I'm really, really excited to work hand in hand with Reggie going forward. Our chairman of the Athletic Foundation, I'm going to go ahead and give it, Lenny Bevel. Man, can't say enough good things about Lenny. All right, you've shown this Midwest boy what Southern hospitality is all about, and for that, I'm extremely grateful. To our faculty and athletic representative, Dr. Chris Geierman, I kind of was in a panic yesterday, and I texted Dr. Geierman and asked if we could go on the morning walk that he offered up the day before. And I'm not going to hold against him. I still haven't heard back from him, but I know we're going to go on that epic morning walk here soon, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. Our our Deputy Athletic Director for Internal Affairs, all right, and our SWA, Brandy Klaus. Brandy walked my daughter over, and her welcoming spirit and her professionalism has been overwhelming the last few days. Really look forward. Thanks for walking Dixie Grace over. So we probably should have sent Nash over with you too, but live and learn. I can't let this moment pass without thanking all the coaches that have specifically helped me get here. I would be remiss if I missed that opportunity. I'm going to start with my very first, again, all right, Jared mentioned I was at the University of Utah for a year. Well, Coach Boylan there, Jim Boylan, gave me my first job at the college level and helped me land my first position with an NBA team. But it pales in comparison to his biggest assist he made on my life. Introduced me to his nanny, all right, my future wife, Tisha. I wouldn't be standing here without him, and obviously Tisha's been an unbelievable blessing in my life. Next, I want to thank Fred Hoiberg. When I called Fred and I told him about my opportunity at Georgia Southern, I had to talk a little trash for the football team. So I said, yeah, Fred, it looks like I'm going to be taking the head coaching position at Georgia Southern. I said, you know about Georgia Southern, right? And he kind of said, oh, Georgia Southern. So had to give him a little barb, but Fred, he gave me something that was invaluable for a person in my position, obviously a young coach. He gave me belief and opportunity. I would hope that all the young coaches I work with, really in any profession, are as blessed to have a friend, a boss, and a mentor as I was with Fred. His family is family to me, and we love him dearly. Last but not least, I got to thank my very first boss and my most recent boss, Nate Oates. Who would have thought Nate, myself, from Romulus High School to head coaches at Alabama and Georgia Southern. We've come a long way, and I couldn't have asked for a better friend at every step of the way along the journey. His relentless competitiveness made me a better coach. I'm really going to miss our games of pool, and if there was ever a time to pass me in golf, Coach, it's right now, this spring and summer, but if you've seen Coach play, you know that's not going to happen. Georgia Southern. Back to Georgia Southern. People, purpose, action. Growing ourselves to grow others. I've always prided myself in being a lifelong learner, and at Georgia Southern, I feel honored to be a part of this great team. I want to specifically thank all the people that have went out their way to call, send texts, and make myself and my families feel so welcome. All right, shifting gears to basketball. At Georgia Southern, we have a rich basketball tradition to live up to with greats like Tukey Brown, Michael Curry, who I spoke to this morning, and my guy CY. Legendary coaches like Coach Kearns. Former players, this is your program. We are going to celebrate you and welcome you back with pride and admiration in our hearts. I personally look forward to working with Coach Backus, who I got to see earlier today, to help foster those relationships. We're going to work really, really hard to give you all, and especially our former players, a program that they can be proud of. What a special opportunity myself and our team is walking into. Our last season at Hanner Fieldhouse, a place that has seen so many special moments. It's only right we send it off in style with one last ride deserving of this special place. But we need everybody, all right? We need you, Eagle Nation. Students, we need that nest to be filled. And I can just, for sure, let's go. Like it. We can do better though. I'm telling you, stock up on toilet paper, because when we throw it out that first bucket, I got a sneaky feeling that's going to be on a 3 or a dunk. So always tell our teams we want a rowdy bench, all right? And I'm telling you today, we want a rowdy crowd. We need your support. You have me. I'm here. We're going to, like I said, work extremely hard to give you something you can be proud of, but we're all in it together. And once we establish the type of environment here, all right, that opposing teams fear, we're going to carry it right over into the beautiful Jack and Ruth Ann Hill Convocation Center. I also couldn't think of anybody better to share it with than Coach Howard and all the special things she's doing with the women's team. I'm looking for her out there. I look forward to working with you, Coach. Obviously, as I'm building our program, helping you build yours. As I said the other day, trying to ride your wave a little bit. We have an exciting mix of returners and signees. The program is in good shape, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Coach Chris Shoemake for everything he's done in this transition. Keeping Coach Shoemake on was an easy decision for me. Some of my mentors in this game, some of my closest friends are huge fans of Coach Shoemake, and they went out of their way to shower him with praise. He's a veteran in college basketball. Players respect him. Other coaches respect him, and it was an easy decision. He has made this transition relatively seamless. I'm really looking forward to working with him and building this program. When we talk about building this program, it's only natural to ask how we're going to play. Well, we're going to play in a manner that gives us the best chance to win. Jared kind of touched on how some of our teams have played in the past, but over my 7 years in college basketball, I haven't been a part of a team that ranked outside the top 40 in offensive efficiency, our worst being 37th in our first year at the University of Alabama. Over 3 years at Iowa State, we never ranked lower than 13th in the country, 2 of the 3 years spent in the top 10. The last 2 seasons at Alabama, we ranked inside the top 20 in offensive efficiency. We're not trying to win games 61-59, guys. We need to score the ball. Defense will be a foundational thing in this program. We care about defense because we care about winning. We ranked inside the top 3 in overall defensive efficiency. For you to better understand those numbers, when we talk about these ranks, we're talking about 350 plus teams. So if you're inside the top 20, you're doing some really good things. When you're inside the top 5, like we were in 2 of the last 3 years on defense, you're guarding at an elite level. If you watched any of our games at Alabama, you might have seen us get scored on and Coach Oates snap his head and yell at me on the sideline. Because like Jared said, I was in charge of the defense. But it was great. He gave me full reign to run the defense. I feel like championship level teams are balanced. They play complementary basketball that gives them a chance to be really good at both ends of the floor, and that's what we're going to do at Georgia Southern. Now, how do we do that? We recruit really good players. I'm only standing up here because I've had the good fortune of coaching some really good players, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about them. It's a lot easier to be good on offense when you got a George Niang, a Monte Morris, a Brandon Miller. Defense gets easier when you got Herb Jones patrolling the wing, Charles Bediako at the rim. The good news for us at Georgia Southern is we don't have to look far to find good players. I told, anybody that I've talked to when I got a head coaching job, I wanted to get in my car to go recruit. And we can do that at Georgia Southern. I'm going to say timeout to Lenny. And if you want to fly me anywhere, we can hop in a plane too. Myself and our staff, we're going to work relentless at finding the next Jeff Sanders, the next Julius Jenkins, the next Chester Webb, all those people that have made this place really special. There's got to be more to it, though, than wins and losses, right? It's got to be more to it. Obviously, the unforgettable moments of triumph, the depths of despair after defeat. I'm a little bit old-fashioned, but I still believe in the college experience. I still believe in the overall student-athlete college experience. Young men leaving their families to become a part of my family, the Statesboro community, and to leave with a second home. The effectiveness of the job we do won't consist exclusively of wins and losses. We don't run from the fact that we'll be evaluated by wins and losses, but we're also going to evaluate what type of student athletes we are producing for this university, what type of contributors we are producing for overall Statesboro community, and are they better for their time having spent inside this program and at Georgia Southern? 5, 10, 15 years down the road, are they good fathers and husbands? That's ultimately going to be the final count in our scorecard. It leads me to my last thank you. And I'm gonna try not to get emotional because I'm a family guy. My wife Tisha, my son Nash, my daughter Dixie Grace, you are my home team. You will soon find out if you haven't already, my son Nash cannot sit still. I think he's up there running right now if you see him. At 33 weeks, he couldn't sit still for another 7 weeks. So we were sleeping at the hotel, getting ready to play Tennessee in the SEC tournament, and my wife shook me and she said, I think my water broke. And I said, you got to be kidding me. We were 7 weeks away. It was March 11th, and he wasn't due till April 27th. So Nash couldn't sit still then. He still can't sit still now. He's a handful, but he's also a fighter. He spent 89 days in the NICU, 3 different hospitals. He was diagnosed with Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. It happened during COVID, and I get emotional thinking about it because there was actually 40 days of the 89 where I was not able to see him because of COVID restrictions. So I'll never forget, it was actually Mother's Day, but showing up to the hospital door, and they saw me and they said, you must be Nash's dad. And it's the best words I've ever heard, best title I've ever been given, and it always will be. Leads me to 5 weeks ago. We were actually in the process of losing a football game at Tennessee. My Alabama fans will appreciate that. They follow a lot. But it was after the game, my wife texted me and said, you better hurry home. I think this baby's coming. So obviously we flew back from Tennessee, flew back from Knoxville, landed in Tuscaloosa, drove up to the hospital, and it wasn't much later that we welcomed a beautiful, perfect girl, Dixie Grace, into the world. Dixie Grace, there's zero doubt in my mind that despite your mom's best efforts, you will be a daddy's girl. I apologize for the last 6 weeks. I know I've been busy. Lastly, to my wife, who's been with me through everything, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, the wins and the losses, being a broke intern / GA to having a little bit of money, just a little. You are an unbelievable wife and mother. I have zero doubt you will put your unique flavor on being the First Lady of Georgia Southern men's basketball, and the community of Statesboro will love you for it. I love you, babe. If I screwed up anything in a game or today, just find my wife, because she is my biggest critic. So if we're playing too fast or shooting too many threes, just find Tisha. She's been pretty quick to embrace the Georgia Southern way of life. Obviously, GATA. She's heard me say it, when I get off the phone with these guys. She's kind of giving me that look like, man, you've been on the phone a lot here. I need help with this 5-week-old baby. Nash needs to be put down. So eventually she snapped about a couple weeks ago and she said, you know what? It may be GATA to them, but it's GAMA to me. So she's been getting after my ass. So lastly, I just want to reiterate, I just can't tell you how proud I am to be standing up here in front of you today. All the things I've given out, I meant every word of it. We're going to work extremely hard, all right, with this current group of guys. We're going to work extremely hard to add the right guys, and as I said earlier, build a program that we can all be proud of. Which leaves me with, I guess, one thing left to say. Hail Southern!
All right, members of the media, we have time for 2 questions, and then we'll do a breakout session.